I am joined now by Trump 2024 National Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt. Karoline, before we get, of course, to the border visit, and I watched her speech last night, my jaw dropped, but I want to make sure we get your thoughts on this huge news today that just came in a few hours ago about Hassan Nasrallah. Israel has literally been going it alone in their fights with Hamas and Hezbollah, also the Houthis, let's not forget about them, because the White House hasn't really helped at all in terms of Middle East policy here and also helping Israel. They've been flipping and flopping. Your reaction to this stunning news that Hassan Nasrallah, probably one of the biggest terrorist leaders in the world, has now been killed?
Well, the reason we're in this war in the first place is because of the White House's policies. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris reversed all of President Trump's very effective and tough sanctions on the Iranian terrorist regime. They were weak. They were broke. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden lifted those sanctions, and now, since they have come into office, they have profited more than $80 billion in oil sales. Just weeks before the October 7th attack on Israel, Joe Biden transferred $6 billion to the Iranian terrorist regime, which likely was used in the attack on October 7th. And the proxies, the terrorist proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas, have been able to get away with their terror reign and killing innocent Israelis, holding even American citizens hostage. None of this would have happened if President Trump were still in the White House. And the fact that this conflict is still ongoing, of course, today is welcome news, but we're still very much in the thick of it. And it just proves how desperately we need to re-elect President Trump. Imagine 4 years of Kamala Harris as the commander-in-chief. The world is laughing at her. She has caved to the far-left pro-Hamas terrorist sympathizers in this country. She has been flip-flopping on her support for Israel the past 4 years and throughout her entire career. We need President Trump again, who will stand strongly with Israel and send a very clear message to the Iranians that their bloodthirsty terrorists will be shot down. And by the way, the Iranians know that too, and that's why they're in an ongoing plot to try to take out President Trump. They're not doing that to Kamala Harris. They're doing it to President Trump because he is the greatest threat to their terrorist regime.
Yeah, how big of a concern is this, obviously, also for President Trump? You bring up a great point because, boy, we have seen that Pakistani guy who was arrested tied to Iran, and that was a day before the Butler rally. And you know what I keep wondering, Karoline, like, where is the current president of the United States and the vice president? They should be pounding their fist and saying, don't you dare ever consider touching the hair of a former president of the United States. As a Trump campaign, as you're sitting there watching this, are you astounded that they haven't done that?
Astounded and disgusted. The fact that the sitting president and vice president have yet to break their silence on the fact that our greatest adversary in this world, Iran, is engaged in an ongoing plot to take out the former president of the United States, and Kamala Harris nor Joe Biden have spoken on it. As President Trump said in his speech this past week, if Iran was threatening a former president when he was president, he would blow that country to smithereens. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat. You do not threaten American citizens, American politicians, and leaders of our great country. And the fact that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have yet to say anything on it proves that they are unfit to serve as the leader of the free world. They don't know how to provide peace through strength like President Trump did. They appease our adversaries with weak rhetoric and weak policy.
You know, and speaking of weak policy, we certainly have seen that on the border as well. It was astounding last night because there was Vice President Kamala Harris at the border, and it came as ICE had just released some really stunning data of the number of illegal migrants with convictions for criminal charges in this country. And some of the numbers were astounding. I mean, I was looking at this here. These are convicted of homicide, 13,000, 15,000 killers. I mean, are you kidding me? All in all, it's hundreds of thousands with convictions that have entered this country. And as you see here, are at large. This is stunning. And then we see, Karoline, you know, it was like hours later, there's Kamala Harris trying to act tough on the border and not saying a thing about this report and acting like she has done something. Where has she been the last 3.5 years?
Exactly right. And I wish the establishment media would ask Kamala Harris that question. Kamala Harris is a fake phony politician. And for her to go down to the border yesterday with a straight face and lie to the faces of our brave Border Patrol and lie to the American people, claiming that she's tough on border security, absolutely not. Look at her actions throughout her entire career as a senator, as attorney general, even district attorney, way back in her early days in California. She has consistently stood against deportations. She led the fight in the Senate in 2018 against funding for Border Patrol and ICE. She voted against the construction of President Trump's border wall. She called it evil and racist. And she and Joe Biden opened our border to the entire world on day one of their administration. And we've had an invasion of more than 20 million illegal people. And this new ICE data is completely disqualifying. It proves President Trump has been right. The entire world is taking advantage of our open border, sending their worst, emptying their prisons and their jails, sending convicted murderers and rapists to commit harm on American citizens here. And Kamala Harris hasn't done anything about it. Yesterday, our team spoke with 3 angel mothers, who 2 of whom lost their daughters at the hands of illegal murderer monsters who raped and killed their beautiful daughters. Another mother whose son was killed at the hands of Chinese fentanyl that came through the southern border under Kamala Harris's watch. Kamala has never reached out to those families. She's never even uttered the names of those victims. It's disgraceful. For this border crisis alone, she should resign, never mind be considered for a promotion to be president of the United States. She has sold out our sovereignty. That's the #1 responsibility of a commander-in-chief, and she has failed.
Karoline Leavitt, thank you. Really powerful comments. And boy, what a contrast to what we have seen her do to what she is saying now. Thank you so much. It's so great to see you, Karoline.